Now is our time for meditation, so I invite you to get things out of your lap and get those feet firmly planted on the floor as we begin taking some deep breaths. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Let your energy just settle into this perfect time and space. Feeling and acknowledging that presence and that power of God that you are, right here, right now. Letting that breath bring us to a calm and peaceful place. Now I invite you to see your breath coming in and out of your heart space, expanding the love that lives there. Bring into your mind a person or a situation that has happened to you that you wished had turned out differently. Perhaps it was a minor misunderstanding or a miscommunication of some sort, or it was some kind of situation that you just felt a little off with it and you would like to see it differently. So bring that occurrence into your heart and into your mind's eye. And now we use our power of imagination to see it differently. We use our power of power to know that we can transform it in this moment and we can rewrite that story. That we can create through our minds that outcome that we would like to see have happened in that circumstance. So we get a do-over. Take just a moment in the silence. And now go to that power that lives in your throat chakra. And I invite you to say what you want to say to this person. Speak out loud through your power channel how you would like for this to have unfolded. And we do this now in the silence. There is no situation that enough love can't heal and harmonize. There is no situation that you don't have the ability to see it differently, think about it differently. Use your power of transformation to create a different outcome by the power of your mind. You are divine beings. And when you have control of your emotions and thoughts, there's absolutely nothing that you cannot create. We are incredibly powerful, powerful beings. When we choose to own it and accept it and claim it and live from that place of knowing our own divinity. And so we say, thank you, indwelling Spirit, for this sweet opportunity to go in and change something that didn't feel right to something that does feel right. By making anything possible using our power of power. And now we bring our focus back into the room as we wiggle our toes and fingers, and whenever you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. Something that I learned very well in ministerial school is that we need to unplug. We literally need to come apart for a while, just as Jesus taught, and recharge our spiritual batteries. Jesus taught that very well, and he did it in the Garden of Gethsemane. Just think how much energy it took for him, knowing about the crucifixion and the resurrection that was coming. That kind of separation from the world, to be able to go within. And so that's what I did last week. I took off for the beach for a couple of days, and it was absolutely everything that I thought it would be, because you know what happens in the relative world that we live in is that things happen and we eventually begin to dissipate our power. We have a tendency to sort of give it away. And we dissipate our power by staying connected to technology all the time. It was wonderful leaving the computer at home. So I follow what my mentor taught me and go away every few months and just have time without anybody, without any animals, without any distractions, and just go within and be still and pray and meditate. And it is such a gift. It is such a gift if you have the ability to do that. And so this month of May, we move into our theme, which is the power of power. And so we have a new affirmation that we're going to say together. The power of my thoughts and words moves me ever closer to the truth of my being. This month, you see, we're going to understand that power faculty as our capacity to transform energy from one plane to another. We will know, we already know, that God is the one true source and one power that is. We say it all the time, don't we? There's only one. We say that in our opening statement every single week. One presence and one power. And that's God, the good, omnipotent. And so we are sourced by the one. We draw from that one power and we transform our thinking, our feeling, our actions, our beliefs by how we utilize it. We can even have an impact on our environment. We can shape our lives by understanding the use of our power faculty. We use our power for good purposes, to create our lives. We use our power to express love when we want harmony in our lives. We use our power of love when we want to heal relationships. We use our power of life when we want to heal our bodies. We use our power of wisdom and judgment when we're coming to try to make a decision, don't we? And we use our will to choose that right decision and move into action. Philip is the apostle that stands for or represents the power of power, and it's located in the throat chakra. It's a beautiful blue color. And this power is very closely related to faith, which is Peter, and Andrew, which is strength, and those three guys were brothers, so they grew up together. And they pal around together. And those three powers work together in us, as us, and through us to create the lives that we want. Philip was a fisherman before he went to follow Jesus. And so this innate ability that we have to transform energy comes to us right from the scriptures in Genesis, when it said, God said, let us make man in the image and after our likeness, and they shall have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the heaven, over the cattle, and over all the earth. This dominion is all encompassing, and we have that dominion within us. We are all powerful, and that's why it's so huge for us to spend this entire month getting deeper into understanding. In the kingdom of God, within our consciousness, this power faculty plays an important part in controlling the expression of our emotions, our inspirations, and our thoughts. Our voice is the most direct avenue of expression. And when we have control over our thoughts and emotions, there's nothing that we cannot do, because we are divine beings. And through that powerful voice, that throat chakra, we are commanding the universe. So because we're divine beings and we're sourcing through the one true source, God, we have divine ideas, and then when we have the voice to express it to the universe has no understanding other than to make it so for you. The universe is here to back you up. That's how powerful you are. When you have a thought and you express through your throat chakra, it has to respond. Charles Fillmore says in his book, The 12 Powers, the mind and body of man have the power of transforming everything from one plane of consciousness to another. Our minds and bodies, he says, are psychic and chemical factories where we transform air and food into cells. Just think about the magnificence within your body. You don't sit there and tell yourself you need to breathe oxygen to keep going. We are magnificent beings, and these things come to us just automatically. It's just part of who we are, but that's part of our power. Remember, Myrtle spoke from her throat chakra when she was ill with tuberculosis. She spoke out loud to the cells of her body and made herself well. That's the same power that we have, and that power of prayer that we have to speak our words into the universe of what we would like to have happen. But what happens sometimes is we give our power away. Even if we're not aware of it, we say things like, well, you make me happy, or you make me sad, or you make me mad. And the truth of it is, no one can make you anything. If you are letting someone make you feel other than whole and perfect as you are, then it is your own responsibility for giving them your power. So that's why our thoughts and our things that we say from our throat chakra are so important, because the universe goes, oh, okay, so you want to be mad? You can be mad. You know, we have to be careful, and we can take back and reclaim that power by changing a thought in that moment. That's how powerful we are. As soon as we catch that thought, we can go, whoops, never mind, cancel, cancel. We're not going to do that. We have that transforming power within us. It's an inside job, isn't it? And so power takes us into our fifth principle. And you know what they are. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I live. And that fifth principle is our doing principle. It's our action principle. And that's what our power does. All of the others, the first four, are in consciousness. But that fifth one is manifestation. And so you have to understand the four principles prior to, so that you can bring forth into the universe that which your heart desires. So power is our doing ability. It's what moves us into action. Things like judgment decides, will directs, but power moves us. That fifth principle, power and strength need to work together. They need to be developed together as well. But they're different, aren't they? Power is moving and doing, and strength is standing firm in knowing who we are and claiming, right? Steadfastness. Both are important, but they're very different. If you think about it, a good example is like electricity. You know, the wire is the strength, but what goes through the wire is the power. You plug that in, you don't really know where it comes from, but you know the lights are going to come on when you plug it in, right? Jesus recognized this power and his ability to transform things, and he also recognized that he had dominion over things. He said in the scriptures, all power is given to me in heaven, which is your mind, and on earth, which is your body. He realized that all power had been given to him. He realized his innate spiritual dominion when he consciously attuned to it. And we can do the exact same. We have that same power to do that exact same thing. He also recognized the power when he said, it is not I, but the Father within who does the work. Our true power source. He recognized that it was God working through him, creating what it was that he came here to create for us. So today we're in the scriptures. We're in 2 Timothy. This is one that you're familiar with. Chapter 3. Oh, wait. It's chapter 1. I knew that wasn't right. Chapter 1, verse 6 and 7. For this reason, I remind you to rekindle the gift that God is within you through the laying on of the hands. For God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but rather a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline. So you see, Paul is having a little conversation with Timothy. And so he is referring to and telling him that he needs to stir up that gift of God within him. Well, Timothy already knows. He knows that he's expected to be fearless in his work of expressing the Christ through him. But you know, we all tend to fall away from what we know we're supposed to do. So Paul was giving him a little pep talk and reminding him that he is to be filled with the spirit of power and love and of discipline. This is what he was supposed to do. He just needed a little nudge, a little encouragement. Don't we all sometimes need a little reminder about why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing? Because the Spirit's gifts, you see, are not fear, but power and love and a sound mind. And we are all called to be that expression of the Christ. We all have that same calling. And speaking of callings, we just started our class on Tuesday, Vivian and I. And it's based on Greg Lavoie's book, Callings. And it's about that callings are not just vocation. Callings are, you're getting tapped all the time. It's just whether or not you're paying attention. So this book, this class for the next 6 more weeks is going to help us define and discern what is our purpose in each of these times that we get called. So in the book, there's this story that they're talking about a little bit later in the book about Jonah. Remember Jonah in the Bible when he got called to preach? And what did he do? But he ran away in a boat. And he ended up in the belly of a whale. And then, of course, he got spit out on the beach where he was supposed to be preaching in the first place. So in this book, it's talking about psychologist Abraham Maslow, who calls spiritual and emotional truancy the Jonah complex. He says, the evasion of one's growth, the setting of low levels of aspiration, the fear of doing what one is capable of doing, voluntary self-crippling, pseudo-stupidity, mock humility, he says. We are all capable of so much more than we think that we are. So we all, to some extent, we evade those callings. We go, it's not for me. It's not time to do that. We make up all sorts of excuses when we get tapped and we're supposed to do something. We back away from our authenticity is what's happening. And we end up settling for less, and we hobble our power by doing that. Everyone occasionally ignores the prompting of the soul. But I'll tell you what, it's not going to go away. So you can ignore it all you want, but if you don't do it in this lifetime, you're going to come back and have to do it next time. So you might as well not wait for the cosmic 2x4. You might as well pay attention to and make baby steps toward what that calling is. We all have a part of us that fears change. We're comfortable. We like things the way they are. We don't really necessarily want to change. No wonder we try to ignore it, because it is going to be an interruption. It's going to be different, right? However, it's going to keep at us until the end of time. In most cases, if it's something that is a soul longing for you. Remember when Moses was called? When God called on Moses? He said, who am I to do this thing? Well, we all sort of feel like, I'm not ready to do that. I can't tell you how many times I put down ministry for so many years. Like, no, that's not for me. I'm perfectly happy being a licensed unity teacher. Thank you very much. But it just kept coming, and about the 7th time, I kind of got the cosmic 2x4. We don't feel like we have enough. We don't feel like we're good enough, or somebody said something when we were little and we took it to heart. I mean, whatever it is, we're putting things off and we don't even try. I love the quote, the famous quote by Marianne Williamson. So powerful are her words when she says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. But our playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. I love that. So, how do we own our power? How do we stand in our power? How do we move through our lives with our power? So, in Unity, we always have to have practical tools. We just have to give you little tidbits for things that you might try that would help you realize how wonderful and magnificent you already are. So, one example to reclaim your power is very similar to what we did in meditation. You name the person or situation. You recall the thing that happened that you didn't like or you would like to have changed, and then you ask yourself, how do I make it better? Or how might I change it, you see? How might I change that situation? So let's take what we want other people to do, like, usually we want other people to change. We want them to not say those things. We want them to not act in that way or have that particular behavior. But in this situation, we're using our power of power to go in and set it right. Instead of sitting around complaining and whining about somebody else's behavior, we use the power of our mind to see it differently and change it. And we begin to realize how powerful we are, and we mobilize our own power. When we see it differently, we're grateful for the lesson that we learned from this beautiful being. There's something in every single relationship and everything that comes up that causes red flags in our lives is there to teach us something. So instead of whining and groaning and complaining about it, we try to see it like we would expect it to have a better outcome. And then we're actually having gratitude for it. We're having gratitude for this opportunity to make it right, to use our mind. That's how powerful we are. See it the way you want to have it, and then send love and blessings. That's the best way to deal with difficult people in your life, is to send them love and blessings and gratitude that they're in your life teaching you this wonderful patience that you're learning, or whatever it is that you're learning. See it, because no one can make us feel badly. We stand in our power, we stand in our strength, we stand in our love. Can you feel the shift in your energy? It takes you from victim to victor, because you're not going to let anybody else take your power away. You're going to stand in your magnificence. I love that. I love that we have that ability, and it absolutely works. Absolutely, you have the power to do that. This last issue of Unity magazine, Kelly Isola has an article in there, and it's entitled, "This is Who We Are and Then Some." And she's talking about an acorn. You know, I love the acorn. I love the oak tree. I love that whole symbolism of that seed of the great mighty oak, right? But when you think about it, that acorn has to break apart, right, to form the root. It literally falls apart, breaks apart in order to make the roots grow for the mighty oak. So why would our lives be any different? When we're getting ready for a spiritual change in our life, something breaks apart. Something changes. And it's not necessarily something that we like. And sometimes we don't even like the way we're showing up in the situation. And we may say something like, "This can't be happening. This isn't who I am," right? When you catch yourself reacting poorly to something that's going on in your life. But it is. This is you and so much more. So sometimes we have to like those breakdowns. We have to like those things because we have to move through that, just like we're moving through this pandemic. We're moving through, knowing our good is coming, knowing that spiritual consciousness is unfolding, knowing that we're becoming stronger and better because of what we're learning. So our spiritual path is continuing. Nothing slows that down. If God is principle, and principle is I am, and I am is my spiritual self, then I am fully human and I am fully divine. As are you. As are you. In every moment. The acorn is the mighty oak, isn't it? Just in another form. We are God in expression in the form in which we are right now in these physical bodies. You see, it's our job to be power transformers and to stand in our power and to stand in our divinity and to claim that goodness that we are, the changes that we can make, the life that we can create. Okay, enough preaching. It's time for a little joke. So there are a few of us talking about the perils of drinking and driving when my friend's 5-year-old granddaughter from the back seat says, she had to throw in her 2 cents, "I can see why it would be dangerous to drink and drive," she said. "The straw could go up your nose." The wisdom of the child. So I want to close today with From the Callings, from Greg Lavoie's book. There is a story in there. This man named Ron Jones, his dad was really a musician. He was a wonderful musician. But he gave up his dream, and he spent 35 years working in a department store selling televisions and refrigerators and things like that. And all of a sudden, they come up to Ron's dad and they tell him that they're closing the store. And now there's no gold watch, there's no great form of retirement for his 35 years. They ask him, though, "What is it that we could do for you?" And he said, "Well, I'd like to have that chair I've sat in for 35 years. And they said, "Sure," and they sold him the chair. Sold him the chair. So he takes the chair home, and then one day he shows up at Ron's house with that chair on his back, And he carries it into his living room and he sets it down. And he says, son, I don't ever want to see you sitting in that chair, ever. You don't want to do what I did. You don't want to give up your dreams. He said, don't sit down in life. All through life, you'll be asked to sit down and to conform and to comply and to compromise. And it can be deadly if you get in the habit of it, he said. His dad told him to be leery of the price of conformity. Stand up, he said. Create things. Do things. So we have an opportunity to own our power, don't we? Right here and right now. And I'd say, don't play small, y'all. Own your power now. And we can. I believe we can do it. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you. Now is our time to bless our community from the good of our own beingness into this community. And we are so blessed in so many ways. So many wonderful people giving through PayPal and through our website and through our Breeze link. We are so, so blessed, and we say thank you, God. So let's bless our tithes together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so. And now we have our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Namaste, everyone.